ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशधारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, 325.4. We're discussing a conversation now will start between Muni and Devahuti. Sutavacha Vaipayana Sakastvaivam Maitreyo Bhagavamsthatha Prahed Viduram Prita Anvikshikyam Prachoditaha. Sri Suta Goswami said, the most powerful sage Maitreya was a friend of Vyasadeva. Being encouraged and pleased by Vidura's inquiry about transcendental knowledge, Maitreya spoke as follows. मैत्रेय उवाच पितरि प्रस्थितेरण्यं मातु प्रियचिकीर्षया तस्मिन् बिन्दुसरे वात्सीद Bhagavan Kapila. Maitreya said, when Kardama left for the forest, Lord Kapila stayed on the strand of the Bindu Sarovar to please his mother Devahuti. Tammasinam akarmanam tattva margagradarshanam swasutam Devahutyaha dhatu samsmarati vachaha. When Kapila, who could show her the ultimate goal of the absolute truth, was sitting leisurely before her, Devahuti remembered the words Brahma had spoken to her, and she therefore began to question Kapila as follows. Devahutiruvacha nirvinnanitaram bhuman asad indriyatarshanaat yena sambhavyamanena prapannantham tamaprabho. Devahuti said, I am very sick of the disturbance caused by my material senses. For because of this sense disturbance, my lord, I have fallen into the abyss of ignorance. A very powerful conversation. So Devahuti is saying, I'm sick of the disturbance caused by my material senses. And because of the disturbance, I fall into the abyss of ignorance. So which means when our senses disturb us, we fall into ignorance. And Devotee is very sick about it. So we should also be very sick about it. Because this happens to everybody. Material senses disturb us and then we fall into ignorance. Here the word asad indriya tarshanat is significant. Asad means impermanent, temporary. And indriya means senses. Thus asad indriya tarshanat means from being agitated by the temporarily manifest senses of the material body. Agitated by the temporary senses. We are evolving through different statuses of material body existence. Sometimes in a human body, sometimes in an animal body. And therefore the engagements of our material senses are also changing. Anything which changes is called temporary or asat. The asat doesn't mean that which does not exist. As per Shastra, asat means that which is temporary. And that which is temporary actually really does not exist. We should know that beyond these temporary senses are our permanent senses, which are now covered by the material body. So this is nice to know that our spiritual senses are now covered by the temporary material senses. The permanent senses being contaminated by matter are not acting properly because they are covered by matter, so they are not acting properly. Devotional service therefore involves freeing the senses from this contamination. So we have permanent senses, spiritual senses, which are now covered, contaminated by matter. So it's not they're not performing, they're not doing their real work because of this contamination. And devotional service frees the senses from this contamination. Cheto darpana marjanam, this cleansing process. So that is why with the process of bhakti, when as the senses get cleansed, senses become spiritualized, meaning the matter, covering of matter goes on decreasing, and thereby the spiritual qualities manifest. So we call that spiritualized. Spiritualized just means that the material covering is removed. When the contamination is completely removed and the senses act in purity of unalloyed Krishna consciousness, we have reached Sadindriya. From Asatindriya, we'll reach Sadindriya or eternal sensory activities. So the contamination has to be completely removed, and then the senses will engage in Krishna consciousness, pure Krishna consciousness. So, and those are the eternal sensory activities. Eternal sensory activities are called devotional service, whereas temporary sensory activities are called sense gratification. Unless one becomes tired of material sense gratification, there is no opportunity to hear transcendental messages from a person like Kapila. So are we tired of material sense gratification? Are we tired of our material senses disturbing us? So that is a question. If we are tired, the solution is in devotional service. And to the extent of our disease, to that extent, we have to engage in devotional service. Devahuti expressed that she was tired. She was tired. Now that her husband had left home, she wanted to get relief by hearing the instructions of Lord Kapila. So it's that exhaustion. Had enough of these material senses. So when normally a person, karmi, reaches that stage of being tired of material sense gratification, then they'll hear, they'll come to hearing transcendental messages. So they'll come to the path of jnana. Now for devotees, actually process of devotional service is so powerful um, that we can actually, without having to go through this getting tired of sense gratification, we can come out because the process is so powerful. But we don't feel the need, meaning willingly we want to still engage in sense gratification. So what happens is that then eventually we will have to get exhausted. Meaning, so the process of devotional service is such that we can directly come to the stage of purification. Unlike karmis who have to get exhausted from their material activities, frustrated, etc. We don't have to go through that process. But because we are still attached materially, now how do we develop the desire to come out of this material entanglement? Because things seem to be going all right, everything is fine. So there's no frustration, there's no, we are not tired of these material senses, material disturbance, because it all seems good, happy, everything going good. Then we can't make progress in bhakti. Uh, because we will not get the desire to do Tivra Bhakti. So then what happens? Then this exhaustion happens. And by the mercy of Krishna, we become tired materially. Then at some point of time, our intensity in bhakti increases. Otherwise, we are happy with a good, comfortable situation around us. I'm chanting Hare Krishna, I'm honoring prasadam, everything is going fine. Then we'll, just float. But when we experience this exhaustion, then there's a chance that we become intense in bhakti. But otherwise, actually, if somebody who is very, very intelligent can simply hear from Shastra and then just give up all nonsense. And intensely engage in bhakti. But so Devahuti here, so she's saying she's tired. She's tired and she wants to hear transcendental messages and understand what is the path. तस्य त्वं तमसोऽन्धस्य दुष्पारस्याद्यपारगम् सच्चक्षुर्जन्मनाम् अन्ते लब्धं मे त्वदनुग्रहात्. Your lordship is my only means of getting out of this darkest region of ignorance, because you are my transcendental eye, which by your mercy only I have attained after many, many births. This verse is very instructive since it indicates the relationship between the spiritual master and the disciple. The disciple or conditioned soul is put into this darkest region of ignorance and therefore is entangled in the material existence of sense gratification. It is very difficult to get out of this entanglement and attain freedom. But if one is fortunate enough to get the association of a spiritual master like Kapila Muni or his representative, then by his grace one can be delivered from the mire of ignorance. The important part here is to get the association of spiritual master. The spiritual master is therefore worshipped as one who delivers the disciple from the mire of ignorance with the light of the torch of knowledge. Om Agnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The word Paragam is very significant. Paragam refers to one who can take the disciple to the other side. This side is conditioned life. The other side is the life of freedom. The spiritual master takes the disciple to the other side by opening his eyes with knowledge. Now, opening the eyes with knowledge means getting knowledge and also applying the knowledge, not just theoretical knowledge. We are suffering simply because of ignorance. By the instruction of the spiritual master, the darkness of ignorance is removed, and thus the disciple is enabled to go to the side of freedom. But for which we have to take the instructions of the spiritual master seriously. Guru is saying, Prabhupada is saying, we're not this body, we are spirit, soul. We have to take it seriously. Then the darkness of ignorance is removed. Otherwise, we simply hear instruction, we don't really follow it, then it won't help. Then knowledge becomes useless. That is why mercy means actually following instructions. If you want mercy from Guru Vaishnavas, get their instructions, follow it. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that after many, many births, one surrenders to the Supreme Person of Godhead. Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gnanavan Mam Prapadyate. Gnanavan, meaning somebody who's been a karmi, then he came to Gnana, even in Gnana, after many, many births, after all his search for the Supreme Lord, finally comes to the stage Vasudevam Sarvamiti. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Okay, Vasudeva. Krishna is everything. Uh, and then he'll surrender. He'll surrender because when Vasudeva is everything, then there's nothing else to be done but surrender. Similarly, if after many, many births one is able to find a bona fide spiritual master and surrender to such a bona fide representative of Krishna, one can be taken to the side of light. Again, surrender. Now we have to focus on this surrender, getting the association, following instructions. This is the guru disciple relationship, uh, right? So we have to take this seriously. We have to try to follow sincerely. Uh, um, Somebody was asking me saying, "What is so sincere and serious? Both seem to be sounding similar meaning, sincere and serious." No, sincere means that we are not trying to cheat. Um, we are not trying to cheat. Meaning, if something is told, we simply sincerely accept it. Okay, I have to do this. And then to be able to do it, then we become serious about it. Uh, but if we are not sincere, meaning we hear, but then we don't want to accept it as it is, then we interpret, we give some reasoning why we don't have to follow, etc. That is lack of sincerity. Then one might be serious to defend themselves or prevent themselves from accepting the right path. That's useless. So first is sincerity, then seriousness. Seriousness to follow the path sincerely, not without cheating. So surrender, association, following instruction. This is key. या य आद्यो भगवान् पुंसाम् ईश्वरो वै भवान् किल लोकस्य तमसान्धस्य चक्षुसूर्य इवोदितः. You are the Supreme Person of Godhead, the Origin and Supreme Lord of all living entities. You are arisen to disseminate the rays of the sun in order to dissipate the darkness of the ignorance of the universe. So Devahuti knows, so she's saying, you are the Supreme Lord, you have come to dissipate the ignorance. Kapilamuni is accepted as an incarnate of the Supreme Person of Godhead Krishna. Here the word Adya means the original of all living entities. And Pumsam Ishvara means the Lord of the living entities. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Kapilamuni is the direct expansion of Krishna, who is the sun of spiritual knowledge. As the sun dissipates the darkness of the universe, so when the light of the Supreme Person of Godhead comes down, it once dissipates the darkness of Maya. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hoy Andakar. Jahan Krishna Tahar Nahi Maya Radhikar. So wherever Krishna is there, that is light, then there is no scope for Maya. Which basically means that we should be in the light of Krishna consciousness. So whenever we come down to the platform to the material platform, that means that we are not in the light of Krishna consciousness, meaning we decided to come down to the material platform. We decided to forget Krishna. We decided to forget Guru. We decided to forget their instructions. Right? So then we will enter Maya. But if we can always remain in the light, how can we always remain in the light? By chanting Hare Krishna, by reading, by being in the association of devotees. If you are always in the light, then Maya cannot attack us. We have our eyes, but without the light of the sun, our eyes are of no value. Similarly, without the light of the Supreme Lord or without the grace, divine grace of the spiritual master, one cannot see things as they are. Again, the divine grace of the spiritual master is got through his instructions. So by following the instructions of the spiritual master, the mercy is received. So it's not some magic. Many people think, no, no, I just went and my guru gave mercy. What guru giving mercy means what? Actually, guru giving instructions. And when we follow instructions is when we get actual mercy. For example, guru tells a disciple like to do something. Like for example, Prabhupada, right? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him preach in the West, preach in the English-speaking countries. No, he just decided to follow that instruction, and he got empowered. He got mercy. He got empowered to do what he did. Of course, he's come from the spiritual world, etc. But he's also showing by example. So this is very, very important. Divine grace of the spiritual master. अथ मे देव सम्मोहम् अपाक्रष्टुं त्वमर्हसि यो वग्रहोऽहं ममेतीति एतस्मिन् योजितस्त्वया. Now be pleased, my Lord, to dispel my great delusion. Due to my feeling of false ego, I've been engaged by your Maya and have identified myself with the body and consequent bodily relations. So Devahuti is saying, I'm in moha, mahamoha, sammoha. So please dispel. Due to my feeling of false ego, thinking that I am the body. Aham mameti. This aham mameti. Aham mameti. I have been engaged by your Maya and have identified myself with the body and consequent bodily relations. So this is all due to false ego, just thinking of ourselves as the body, thereby attached to the body and everything coming out of the body, everything associated with the body. The false ego of identifying one's body as oneself, identifying body as self. uh, and of claiming things possessed in relationship with this body is called Maya. What does this mean? Halsey, of identifying one's body as oneself. What does this actually mean? Hare Krishna. Any thoughts? What does it mean to identify one's body as oneself? No thoughts. We keep hearing this, no? False ego means identifying body as self.
Pranam Prabhuji, we think we are the masters, like we think we are the owners of the body, and this gives us the tendency to lord it over. We think ourselves independent of the Lord.
Independent of the Lord, okay. Thinking of body as self. Okay, so see, basically, body is a vehicle, body is temporary, body is going to be destroyed, right? But when we think about body as self, we become concerned about this temporary nature of the body because we think, oh, I am this body, so then this body is temporary, the body is going to get destroyed. Now we come down to the material platform, and then our whole soul and soul reason for our existence is to then protect this body. And body means body and all connections to the body. So then we become attached to bodily relations, to our possessions. Just because we are thinking, I am this body. So then, we take care of this body, we decorate the body, we do whatever makeup. Uh, and we're concerned about how we look. We are concerned about what we wear. We are concerned about uh, upkeep of the body. We are concerned about all relations connected to the body. We just thinking that this is all going to be permanent, that this is all going to be there forever. And because I thinking that, oh, this body is me, I want to protect it. I want to keep it in a good condition. I want to possess more, etc., etc. So the whole material conception of life actually just arises from thinking that I am the body. Uh, but actually, we've been in this ignorance for so many lifetimes. I mean, I might be saying these words here, but it's the same thing I also experience. Mm. Sometimes I can remember saying that, no, okay, okay, I'm not the body. But most of the times, it's just we are stuck in this moha, some moha, great illusion that we are this body. And then everything that we do, just, you know, it's all on this basis. So that is why, actually, what we should do is we should um, only give as much importance as required to the body. But I don't know how many of us can actually understand and appreciate it. I mean, I also find it very difficult just to not give it too much importance. Give body, bodily relations, etc. We don't have to give too much importance. If we really think that we are the self, that I am the Atma, then all of this is anyway temporary. Then I'll be concerned about the well-being of the Atma. Right? So actually, this itself, this knowledge, I'm not this body, I'm spiritual. Krishna just very easily said that in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, but it takes us like, and when we come to actually stage of understanding this, I'm not the body, we come to Brahma Bhuta stage. Because then we really understand, okay, I'm not this body, I'm soul, I'm Brahman, I'm eternal. So we have to just pray for mercy that we can actually come to this state. Mm. Yeah, more we engage in devotional service by mercy of Guru and Krishna, we can get over, right? But it requires intense bhakti over years, multiple years of sadhana. We might be able to overcome this. Otherwise, by default, we'll just fall into this ignorance. In Bhagavad Gita 15 chapter, Lord says, I am sitting in everyone's heart, and from me come everyone's remembrance and forgetfulness. Devahuti has stated that false identification of the body with the self and attachment for possessions in relation to the body are also under the direction of the Lord. And does this mean that the Lord discriminates by engaging one in his devotional service and another in sense gratification? If that were true, it would be an incongruity on the part of the Supreme Lord, but that is not the actual fact. So, what is the actual fact is just our desire to lord it over. As soon as the living entity forgets his real constitutional position of eternal servitorship to the Lord and wants instead to enjoy himself by sense gratification, he is captured by Maya. Wants instead. So, this desire, this captured by Maya is the consciousness of false identification with the body and attachment for the positions of the body. So, this means that we are under the grips of Maya. When we are thinking of this Aham Mameti, if we are in that mode, that means that we are actually we have been captured by Maya. So how can we get free from the capture? Only Krishna can free us, or his representative. So which means that we have to hear, we have to follow, and we have to surrender, depend on them. Then only it's possible. These are the activities of Maya, and since Maya is also an agent of the Lord, it is indirectly the action of the Lord. It is indirectly, but the Lord actually doesn't like living entities being captured by Maya. The Lord is merciful. If anyone wants to forget him and enjoy this material world, he gives him full facility. Not directly, but through the agents of his material potency. Therefore, since the material potency is the Lord's energy, indirectly it is the Lord who gives the facility to forget him. Devahuti therefore said, my engagement in sense gratification was also due to you. Now kindly get me free from this entanglement. By the grace of the Lord, one is allowed to enjoy the material world. But when one is disgusted with material enjoyment and is frustrated, and when one sincerely surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord, then the Lord is so kind that he frees one from entanglement. Sincerely surrender. Krishna therefore says in Bhagavad Gita, first of all, surrender. Then I will take charge of you and free you from all reactions of sinful activities. Sinful activities are those activities performed in forgetfulness of our relationship with the Lord. In this material world, activities for material enjoyment, which are considered to be pious, are also sinful. For example, one sometimes gives something in charity to a needy person with a view of getting back the money 4 times increased. Giving it the purpose of gaining something is called charity in the mode of passion. Everything done here is done in the modes of material nature, and therefore all activities but service to the Lord are sinful. Because of sinful activities, we become attracted by the illusion of material attachment, and we think I am this body. So, because of sinful activities, so if we engage in sinful activities, we become attracted by Maya. So, we have to note this, very, very important. And we think I am this body. I think of the body as myself and the bodily possessions as mine. Devotee requested Lord Kapila to free her from that entanglement of false identification and false position. So, So this is very, very important. Everything done here is done in the modes of nature, and therefore all those activities are sinful. And because of sinful activities, we become attracted by Maya. So it's like a cycle, right? So we are stuck here. We are doing everything. If you are doing anything for sense gratification, to that extent, we will get attracted by Maya. And the more we get attracted by Maya, the more we will find it difficult to get out of our clutches. So it's like a vicious cycle. That's why Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita somewhere says that only a person who is free can protect one who has been bound. So we are bound up by Maya, hmm, helplessly. And only a person who is free, Guru, Krishna, only they can free us. So we have to take shelter. We have to take shelter of them. Sometimes, like, yeah, Krishna, Arjuna is saying that how come, people act sinfully as if being pushed. Hmm. Krishna says, Kama esha, Krodha esha, Rajoguna samudbhava. And what is the solution? Finally, he says that by spiritual strength, by Krishna consciousness, only we can overcome Kama. So, solution is more devotional service. Devotional service is the answer for all problems. So, the more we engage in devotional service, the more less chances we will have to engage in sinful activities. And the lesser the sinful activities, we become less attracted by Maya. So, we can get out of our clutches. So the vicious cycle is broken by devotional service. But again, the devotional service has to be taken up seriously. Mm. So for which we need to develop taste. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehena rasavajam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. For which again we have to associate with the right kind of devotees, engage in devotional service in a way that we actually experience a higher taste, so that we get more motivated, more inspired, mm, to do more devotional service. And that is the only way to come out of the clutches of Maya. Right. Anyway, so this question is relevant for all of us. Mm. Stuck with false ego, uh, identify ourselves with body and consequent bodily relations. So we are all stuck in this aham mama, aham mameti. So we have to come out of this aham mameti. And Prabhupada used to keep saying the same thing again and again, because it's just, he said that you are hearing that I'm not the body, I'm spiritual, but you're actually not able to come to that platform. So keep hearing again and again and again and again and again. Hopefully, at least theoretically, we will not forget it. Then practically, we can engage more. We engage in devotional activities. Engage in devotional activities with the right consciousness. Not that we just simply engage as activity like mechanically. Mechanical engagement is of no use. We have to engage with the right consciousness. Okay, so I'll stop here. If anybody has any questions, comments. Anything?
Hare Krishna, bro.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhu. Thing is, Prabhu, so every time, I mean, we read this, right? We read this. I mean, it's amazing, right? To realize, I mean, to understand all this, but at least, the moment that reading is done, that level of thinking is done, we're back into that same old consciousness, right? Aham mameti. So, so how do we like continuously, practice that, throughout the day? Because I know
Hmm.
we're hearing now, we're reading it now. It makes sense immediately at that point of time, but the moment we get back to our household chores or back to work, right? So everything is forgotten until the next day. So, so, so how
Yeah,
to continuously practice, I mean, in practicality, right?
yeah. So see, basically, when we hear this now, when the that is why Krishna consciousness, that Vijnana is very important, practical application. Now, each of us will be stuck in different ways, right? So when we hear this, first thing that has to come to our mind is, in what way am I stuck? In what way am I stuck with aham and mama? What are my current challenges? Because see, not everything is a challenge for everybody. Some things are a challenge for some other things are a challenge for somebody else, etc. Right? So in our own life, we have to first of all, as soon as we hear this, the introspection that a devotee needs to do is to identify now. Okay, so one, two, three things. These are my top three aham mama problems. Right? For example, somebody can say that, okay, I'm stuck with the wanting to make more money, for example, right? Or say somebody will say I'm too attached to my children, right? Or somebody, whatever, somebody else might have some other problem. Now, first of all, we have to recognize this, right? Say,
Mm.
what is the top issue that drags me down, right? That makes me forget that when I get engaged in that kind of activity, immediately I just naturally just forget that, all this knowledge. So first, in the process of hearing, so when we are hearing this, we have to first recognize this. Saying that what is that which is my problem,
Mhm.
right? And then once you recognize the problem, then there will be solutions.
Yeah, my problem, I tell you, Prabhu, same. Aham mameti, right? This is mine. I have this much, this much. You know,
No, no, but that's what. So
that thing keeps coming in
that's
my
a
mind.
that's a
Like
very
how
high level
to,
thing, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you have to say, okay, so does this mean
Mhm.
that, okay, well, let me just stop the recording. Hare Krishna.